Utopians. Hope all is well. I know there's a lot of football news going on, and I think the NBA has a very interesting storyline brewing with the NBA trade deadline approaching February 8th. There's been a lot of names that have been thrown in the pool, and I think there's some situations that definitely need some clarity. I feel like I have a pretty good understanding exactly on who's in and who's out in terms of what franchises are going to do. So let's go ahead and get this thing started. I know everyone's got stuff to do. First and foremost, let's talk about the elephant in the room. Toronto Raptors star Pascal Siakam. As you all know, he was a key cog in the Toronto Raptors championship run with Kawhi Leonard. Since then, they've gone through some subtractions and they've been sub 500. Nick Nurse is gone. Fred VanVleet, obviously Kawhi went to the Clippers. So there was a huge domino effect. Pascal seems to be the last Mohican of that roster. Here's the problem. It's a very interesting dynamic. Pascal is interested in getting that super max. He feels he's in that category of Jaylen Brown, maybe not Jason Tatum, who's got a little bit more than just talent, but the right kind of markability team around him. But he definitely thinks he's valued at 300 million. He's the ultimate utility guy when surrounded correctly, as you see post OG Anunoby, Toronto Raptors Knicks trade with Barrett and Emmanuel quickly being returned in favor. He's been a very revitalized talent, and you're seeing them. I think they're 4-1 since the trade. They've only lost one time, and he's back to his normal slicing and dicing, spot up shooting, grabbing rebounds, guarding 1 through 5. He's definitely standing out. I definitely also want to bring up the fact that there is, and I should have started the video with this, the CBA arrangement. The cap is crunching, and I think the main culprit for that is the ending of super teams. I think the NBA had its run with the whole, three-man superstar surrounded by role players, the whole Golden State run, everything. And speaking of Golden State, that's a key destination in which he's been rumored to. I just think it's a lateral move. The Warriors are what the Warriors are, and I think ownership, in particular Joe Lacob, would like to save some money, and I think they want to at least have a year of breathing. And that Chris Paul $50 million that's going to expire is more than likely going to be the route they go, just for the simple fact they've been over the luxury tax for many, many seasons. And I think guys like Clay, who think they are entitled to $100 million, reports have been said that he was offered $25 million a year for 2 seasons, which would amount to, give or take, roughly $48 to $50 million. And he's rejected that. And I think that's a situation where the Warriors are like, well, 2 guards grow on trees. Kuminga's expressed disdain for his situation under the Steve Kerr regime. However, I don't think he'll be routed to Toronto, even though he would be a nice complementary piece. I don't know how serious the Warriors are, especially paying Draymond $100 million. I don't know how this all plays out. Wiggins, Kuminga for Pascal perhaps could work. I don't know, though, necessarily if that's a guarantee. I'm sure the deal would start like that, but Pascal is interested in getting a supermax. And I don't think the Warriors are capable of handling that, long story short. Second on the list is Donovan Mitchell, and this is the portion of the video and the other side of the coin of why I created this video, because people are talking about things like Donovan Mitchell going to the Knicks wouldn't work because he's 6'3" and Jalen Brunson is 6'1". Historically, you're right. Measurables matter, and I think him being next to Garland, who's a 6'1" combo guard, it's kind of put a little smut on his name, so to speak. But he's not atypical. He's one of the anomalies in terms of exemption to the rules of like D Wade, Derrick Rose, who play way bigger. And this is why I even made a post on Twitter, and I think we're approaching 2,000 followers on Twitter. We've been working diligently. I've been working diligently to increase my presence on Twitter. It is the #1 social media app right now outside of YouTube. And I think we need to bring back sports science, because I don't think people really understand. When you look at his center of gravity, when you see his stocky frame, he's a lean bulk type of archetype of player with his agility, ability to cut, tight handle. he's 6'3", around. He looks like he's 200, but he's really moving around like a 6'7", 240 kind of guy. When you pair all the measurables in a bag and in a blender, and you get what you get. And so I think it's a little bit misleading when people try to bring up his size. He plays way bigger than his size. He's completely unguardable. He can score from every place on the floor in every kind of way. I don't think it's appropriate to put him in a box and try to limit why he is or isn't valuable, starting with his size. The Cavaliers have a bigger issue right now on their front line. They got put to work last year in the playoffs against the Knicks, and so I don't think their people are understanding. Mitchell did not. He did his part, and he will continue to do his part. And there isn't a soul that can stay in front of him in this league, because he's too skillful, too physical, too physically gifted to be locked down by any one particular player. You want to zone it up, he'll just take a couple steps back and hit it from long range, then blow right past you when you try to bring the defense up higher on him. So he's just a great player. I don't think the measurable things matter. I do think there's only two real destinations where teams are available and capable of really and have the need to equip the Cleveland Cavaliers with the necessary pieces. First and foremost, the number one is the Knicks. I don't think they'll do it anymore. OG's there. They got a bevy of guards who they can put at the 2 spot. I don't think it's really necessary for them to go after him. They need a more of a hybrid forward, and I'll get to it, but like a Jeremy Grant, a DeAndre Hunter, a 6'8" guy who can switch from the 3 and the 4, help on the glass, hit the spot up 3, put the ball on the floor. They don't need any more guards. You can't go wrong if you do acquire them. That even more firepower. Nothing wrong with that either. With that being said, the more interesting trade to me is with the Lakers, and you don't hear a lot of people mention this, but it has been brought up. They got two guys in LeVert and Jared Allen who ran with a particular individual on the Lakers team from their Brooklyn days, where that's where they actually built up their reputation, in D'Angelo Russell. And when you pair that with the fact that LeBron is obviously an ex-Cavalier, and they'll forever be indebted to him for all his years of service and bringing a chip to the land, I don't think it's getting enough credit and enough steam that it is a very good possibility that he may very well end up with the Lakers. There's enough incentive. You pair Roy Hachimura, who's really buried in the depth chart with Vando and Prince emergence. It's really difficult for him to get his minutes. He definitely had his moments throughout the season, and he's an overall well-talented guy. But if you're a team like Cleveland, a guy like Roy could do numbers for you, and he can definitely solve their issue at the 3. I don't even know who's at the 3 right now. But then when you also bring in a LeVert, when you bring in a D'Angelo Russell, it allows him to be interchangeable with Garland. And with his previous success and the heavily invested $100 million that they have in Jared Allen, who's a rim-running big man and a paint protector, so the quality of suitors that you have to move off that $100 million decision is very few to none. It's almost better to double down and find someone that he's had history with, a floor general he's had history with, all the while still won't over-impede on Garland's progress, who they put $132 million on. Hachimura and D'Angelo Russell are both under, I think, $60 million on their contracts. So it'll be very interesting. I think for the Lakers, they just need someone to get the ball, get a bucket outside of LeBron, and that dynamic is very fascinating to me, because what needs to happen is they need a third name, whether it be Zach LaVine, and I have a list for the Bulls I'm going to get to, but they need a go-to guy who's just going to be like, I understand he's 400 something odd points, give or take, away from getting 40,000 points, and he's moving up assist ladders and all that. But if you're the Lakers, the Genie Bus is paying top dollar. They've mortgaged the future. They have to be in the finals. And if that means his statistics have to take a back seat, especially when you look and see Russell Westbrook's emergence with the Clippers and thriving, and his willingness to come off the bench, and I don't think the Clippers are a threat to win a championship, I do think you have to be cognitive of the fact that the Clippers look really good right now with Russ, and the Lakers look really questionable, and D'Angelo Russell is not this bad. And I think a lot of people are playing on ice because it's like, this is a legacy guy in a sense. We got to watch out, move out the way. Everyone's getting paid, everyone's getting their money, even though some took a pay cut. But I think in the long run, it'll be better for them because they'll be able to go to destinations that are more advantageous if need be to be moved, due to the fact that their contracts are so friendly. But there's going to need to start being some tough love on LeBron, quite frankly, and that can be another video, I guess. But a guy like Donovan Mitchell, it's like, I think that's a guy where it's like, all right, cool. If it means I can preserve my body, and then that allows me to play with my son eventually down the line in Bronny, I think in the grand scheme of things, being a championship contention, be able to have a Bronny, be more fully rested so I can run with Bronny down the line. I think LeBron will be willing and able to do so. But they definitely, the Lakers need a go-to bucket getter on the perimeter who doesn't think twice. All right, let's move off that. The next one is the big speculation is with DeJounte Murray. And this is one of those things why another reason, motive for me to have created a video. He's the ex-Spur, and he's been on a couple podcasts now, at least one for sure, where he talked about the clash in culture for Murray and being in the Spurs. And today it was mentioned that they're thinking about that being a possibility. Maybe it's just, a dry day and they're trying to keep the rumor mill circulating, but that's not happening. And in fact, we might as well attack the entire Atlanta Hawks situation right now. There's only one destination I could see him being of value, and I could see the Hawks having something, being interested in return, getting a spot up shooter like a Hero, is the Miami Heat. The Miami Heat could use a guy like him. He's young. He's another lockdown type of guy. He doesn't necessarily have to be the purest of point guards. With Jimmy Butler there, he's a go-to guy anyway. You know how it goes with go-to perimeter players. Most of the time they have the ball in their hands anyway. And then there's Bam, who's got to get his when he's healthy. So I don't think you really got too much to worry about with respect to that. That's the only real destination in terms of teams with willingness to be trade partners. But here's the problem and the notion with the Miami Heat that's a big problem. You can't talk about Heat culture and Eric Spoelstra today just getting an 8-year, $120 million signing and talk about they have a system, and then in the same notion try to peddle them off to another team. These guys that they're getting, half their reputation in Miami is that we take nobodies and we make them somebodies and we get to the finals. Well, what happens when you take a system player and send them somewhere where it might be a little bit more loose? And that's a friendly way when you're describing the Atlanta Hawks, who play damn near just way too free-flowing offense. I mean, you got a point guard who's launching from 35 whenever he feels like it and is a defensive liability. So I'm going to be candid with you. The next topic is the wrong guys on the trading block. You moved off John Collins. I think John Collins, what he brings to the table is just, quite frankly, a little bit too valuable to have moved him. I don't think him, Hunter, these guys are not the guys that should be moved. Trae Young is the guy that needs to be moved. And unfortunately now, I used to say, well, Jalen Williams, the Oklahoma City Thunder would be a great landing destination, seeing he played in Oklahoma and all that, and the fans would love him, and he's definitely box office. But Shai Gilgeous is just too good. Jay Will is way too good. Chet Holmgren is healthy now. They got a little rhythm going on, second in the West. Though they have a bevy of draft picks, they have unlimited draft picks. Sam Presti, I just don't see it. But the Hawks need to move off Trae Young. If you're interested in really playing championship basketball, this has to stop. They got Johnson over there. They got Murray. They got Hunter. Defense wins championships. You got two clampers on the perimeter. Johnson is a great rim protector because he's got such great vertical. He can jump off the arena. I think they're making a grave mistake by keep on putting guys on the block when the real problem is Trae Young. You can't win basketball games that way. It's a circus brand of basketball. There's no better adjective I can provide, quite frankly. It's just too reckless, okay? And if they plan on really getting serious, if they want to just keep selling tickets in Atlanta, okay, do so. But if you're thinking about winning a championship, you're going to have to move off Trae Young sooner or later. You're going to have to acknowledge the elephant in the room. There is no supporting cast of players. And he's not the best spot up 3-point shooter, to be honest with you. For a guy who can shoot the three ball from far so great, he's not really that great of a complimentary spot up shooter. So, not quite sure where Trae can go, but that's the guy they need to be inquiring about. Not to mention they could get a king's ransoms in draft capital and continue to build a team. But I really believe if you're really serious, Hunter, Murray, and Johnson are three guys who could honestly provide you with some real stable foundation to becoming a threat. All right. We talked about D'Lo with the Lakers and the Cavs trade. Let's also get to a guy in Brooklyn, Dorian Finney-Smith. He's a 6'8", bulky build guy, but he can guard multiple positions. He's a physical presence. He can shoot the three. The Mavs, though obviously getting Kyrie was necessary after they made a huge mistake moving off of Jalen Brunson, Dorian Finney-Smith is greatly missed right now. That is the piece that they need to really be taken seriously. Yes, Derek Lively is a great rim protector. Yes, they're loaded offensively. Hardaway, Luka, Kyrie, even though he's been in and out of the lineup, they need a guy who can get nasty at the 3 and the 4, and that's exactly who Finney-Smith is. It's not just there. Miami, there is a laundry list of teams that every team could use a Finney-Smith. Brooklyn has a lot of complementary players. I think, when you talk about Lonnie Walker, Dennis Smith Jr., there's just guys that are a bunch of complementary pieces, not necessarily main dudes, but complementary guys that a contender could use because they're also on team-friendly deals. They are scoring guards, and you can never have enough scoring in this league. So it'll be interesting. But Dorian Finney-Smith, whoever gets him, the Houston Rockets desperately could use him. I see they're finally called up Cam Whitmore, who kind of has the same physical archetype that Finney-Smith has. But, him being the defender that he is, his ability to spot up shoot, that's a key name who I would watch out for. Wherever he goes, that team is serious about winning a championship. Be on the lookout. Here's one of those dispel rumors type things. The Utah Jazz. I know they've been struggling. I know they're not obviously where they were during the Quinn Snyder, Donovan Mitchell, Rudy Gobert era. But this notion that they're going to trade Lauri Markkanen, the amount of assets you're going to have in order to parlay a trade like that, he's an industry mover. You want a 6'11" guy who can score from 3, athletic, rim protector, knows where to be at offensively. It comes with a price. The only team I can really think of off the top is Sam Presti and Oklahoma City Thunder. Chet Holmgren, though he's been a very disturbing presence in the paint, he definitely, especially with his size, could use another long-limbed individual to help alter shots at the rim. If they're not that serious, Oklahoma, about going that far, they're definitely somewhere. Gafford from the Wizards, whose name keeps popping up a lot. I think he's a building block. I don't think the Wizards should move off him. I think that's a guy you keep around. But Gafford's a high-energy rim protector, sort of like the new and improved Thomas Bryant. I remember a couple years back, Bryant had a very great season, and I think just too many losing bits took a toll on him, plus, constantly not getting the minutes he needs to continue to move forward. All that in a microcosm kind of packaged him in the fate that he is, and I think Gafford is a new, improved, big, physical dude. They need to get him some help somehow, some way, though. They need to get him another front court present dude. Speaking of OKC and ex-Thunder players, let's go to Portland. Jeremy Grant is a former draft pick of Sam Presti. That's another guy who I think could help OKC and Chet Holmgren if they want to make a late postseason run. You need someone to help physically in the paint with Chet Holmgren, who won't get in the way and keep their identity interchangeable. I'm going to tell you a funny story. I remember the year that the Golden State Warriors got DeMarcus Cousins, Boogie Cousins, for those of you who know him from the King era. And everyone was like, and I remember even me, my first reaction was like, oh my God, the league is done. These guys are going 82-0. And then I remembered, I was like, they're going to go 82-0. They're going to go undefeated in the playoff. They're going to be the first team to sweep the season and win the playoffs undefeated. And then I remember thinking to myself, wait a minute, Golden State's whole identity is being able to be interchangeable. They're versatile lineups. Everyone being able to switch, even from Curry to Clay to Draymond. Curry 6'4", Draymond 6'8", but he can guard 1 through 5. Durant, same thing, 7-footer, but can guard 1 through 5. Clay is to be honest with you, for me, everyone talks about Clay's jump shot. He's going to go down as one of the fiercest perimeter defenders to ever grace the game. Okay, and so when you see Clay and what he's doing, guarding 1 through 3 back in the day, and sometimes 4 when teams tried to match him on the small ball lineup. It's hilarious. But them getting DeMarcus Cousins kind of slowed down them a lot and limit their ability and mobility. Defensively, offensively, it made them more stationary, more slower. And I think that is one of OKC's greatest abilities because of Chet Holmgren's versatility. He's such a great pick and roll defender, long-limbed, nimble footwork, great shot blocker, able to disturb. Pairing him with another guy like Jeremy Grant, who's a 3 to 5, he's a 1 through 4, 1 through 5, depending who's playing the 5 type of defender. Versatile, complementary, can spot up, shoot, knows when to slash. I really thought Denver's window closed when they lost him, to be honest with you, because they had Millsap and him, and when they let him go do the contracts, it was getting tight. They knew they had 3 max players. I thought their window had closed. He went to Detroit. He wanted to be the main guy. He wanted to get paid. Now you see, I think he's gotten the main character mentality out of him that he ever had curiosity about. Another guy in Portland who I think everyone should be on the lookout for, Malcolm Brogdon. I know Chase, here's a guy, what I like about Malcolm Brogdon, he's the Walmart version of Terry Rozier. Terry Rozier is the ideal guy to have come off the bench, but he's just too expensive. Malcolm Brogdon is a 90-50-40 guy. And what do I mean by that? 90% from free throw, 50% from the field, 40% from three-pointer. This is a guy who could have been a Brandon Roy type guy, and he got hit by injuries, so he got to be Brandon Roy in a different kind of way. But prime Malcolm Brogdon was special, but he just, one injury after the other prohibited him from being the full person he could have been. But don't get it twisted. It looks like with these with the new bench role, he's able to preserve his body. He's going to be a little bit more better, wiser, and I think the injuries are behind him. He just needs to be a 6-man type of character, and that's a wonderful 6-man piece to have come off the bench. There's going to be a great market for him. Depends on who's the contender. You can see Boston desperately missed what he brought to the table. As great as Jrue Holiday has been, they definitely could have used him right now, and it's going to be real difficult to replace him. I don't know exactly which team will be in the market for him. It's very unpredictable right now, but that's another key name to watch out for. All right, I think I've talked your ear off long enough, Utopians. Check us out. All the best.